Okay. Is that working? I think so. Oh, wait. There we go. Right. It looks like the microphone is working. It looks like the camera is working, so we can get going. My apologies for yesterday. I completely messed up. I didn't realize that I hadn't got the materials needed to continue with the molding process. Apologies for today because my head has been completely up my ass and I forgot to post about what's happening right now. So I'm just going to get on with it and get the work done because it's Friday. I've got convention tomorrow. I've got ECC tomorrow, Edinburgh Comic Con, and I just want to get home so I can relax and get ready for the con. So we're going to do some molding today. We're going to actually pour some silicone. I've got my mold jack here, I've got my silicone here, I've got my gassing chamber here, I've got the master right there ready to go for the Guy-Manuel helmet. So we just need to go through the stages and get it all done, and hopefully I don't make a mess. So let's get cracking. So what happened over the last couple of days? Yesterday we were supposed to look at preparing the master. And I'm going to put my hands on this so you can see preparing the master for the mold. So basically what I've done is last week I coated the master with 4 coats of gloss black paint. I let that cure for a hell of a long time at optimum temperatures. I think it was about 25 degrees, 22 degrees. So I made sure that the paint was nice and cured, and then I went about preparing it for molding. So what we're trying to do is achieve a super glossy finish. So what I did was I wet sanded it several times, working my way through several grits of sandpaper, starting with 800, I believe, 1200, then 1500, then 2000 grits of sandpaper. That will take away most of the imperfections, most of the deep gouges that would be created from the lighter sandpapers. And then that left a nice surface for buffing. I used a very basic rubbing compound, 2 or 3 bouts of rubbing compound. I have recently discovered a very, very handy little tool. So I'll show you this, which is from Meguiar's. It's a car body specialist. They do a lot of products for finishing the paintwork in cars. And this is a tool that they use for DIY hobby enthusiasts. And basically you just attach it to your power drill and it spins this sponge, but it does this sort of nice kind of gyroscopic rubbing motion, so it doesn't, there's no risk of sort of, you know, wearing away the paint or stuff. A nice soft sponge, and it just makes the rubbing compound, the time of applying the rubbing compound, a hell of a lot quicker. I think this saves me like maybe it takes a quarter of the time to get the same finish if I was doing it by hand. So 2 or 3 bites of that, and that takes most of the big scratches and scrapes out. It just sort of blends the paint all together nicely, leaving that nice gloss finish. The next stage then was apply some swirl remover, which is basically wax, and it's got a sort of finer rubbing compound, which takes away those last imperfections, get rid of the swirls in the paintwork. I get a specialized black coated one, so it helps to enhance black gloss finish. So it works its way into any imperfections. And then the final stage was to give it a wax, and that was just a basic turtle wax for car body wax. So that's it all prepared and ready to go. The issue we had yesterday was with the fiberglass jacket. So one thing that I didn't temporarily forgot is that fiberglass, or rather, sorry, tin cure silicone tends to react very badly with polyester. So it's best not to let them contact each other, make contact with each other. So the way you can avoid that is you can coat your polyester in acrylic lacquer or in clear coat. What I failed to notice yesterday was I had no clear coat. No, everyone's in the pub. Bye. I failed to realize I hadn't got any clear coat in the shop, so I didn't have enough time to run out and get it, and I didn't want to postpone the show, so I basically just didn't do it. I went to the spring, got some, and clear coated the inside of it. So these have now been completely sealed in clear lacquer. The last thing that I do is I need to drill some bleeder holes in the outer jacket, and this will basically allow any air pockets to escape. So the silicone will start dribbling out there, and it's a good indication that you've got a nice even layer of silicone with no bubbles, no major air pockets capturing it, because they've got room to escape. If we were to let them all escape through the pore spout, they may not be able to travel all the way from the bottom. So giving them an opportunity to escape on their way up the mold helps a lot. So I've just got one more section to drill. We also spoke yesterday about filling imperfections on the inside of the jacket. So let me see if I can get this in the camera. Oh, there's no lights now. Let's see if we can do this. Can you see that? Yeah, so you'll see along here, there's different color. Basically what has happened there, there's some areas where I haven't managed to give a nice even coat of the fiberglass. So there's little pockets, little imperfections, little holes and divots. What I've done, rather than risk silicone finding its way into these little divots and reacting badly, I have filled them up with some epoxy sculpt. So let's just basically fill them up by hand. A really, really quick process. It just makes the silicone, reduce the risk of the silicone being contaminated by the polyester, and also leaves for a smoother jacket. You could potentially cut off these little bubbles that would be created in silicone, but I think it's a lot better just not to have them in the first place. So that happened yesterday. So last but not least, we're just going to drill a few little holes in this, and then we can get on with this. So where else are we going to go? I like to try and keep them sort of somewhat symmetrical. There's no exact science, but basically you just need to give the silicone, give the air plenty of opportunity to escape. So okay, I don't think you can have too many, but they're just going to be a pain in the ass to fill up. So I usually go for about a dozen per side, depending on how big the side is. So, and that should be plenty of go. Let's keep it even. One there. So I'm just going to make sure there's no residue of polyester in here. Okay. And then once the silicone is poured, put this over here. Once the silicone is poured, I will simply fill these up with these little screws. Some people like to use blobs of clay, plasticine or something like that. I think it all gets a bit messy. So these screws should just pop in there. It's just a quarter turn. We'll get them to stick in, and then I can reuse these. I pull them out. I keep a box of them here to reuse, just simply for that job. I call them my bung holders for bunging holes. So that is that. What we're going to then do is this is all going to be joined up together. I've got some bolts and some wing nuts to seal it up. Of course, contained inside is going to be the master mold. But first, I'm going to sort out my silicone. So let me just put this in here out of the way so I don't damage it. For this particular job, I am going to be using Smooth On's Mold Max 40. So it's Mold Max. It is a tin cure silicone. It works really, really well. I've had a lot of success. I've been using it primarily for all my molds for the last year or so. It is a tin cure, so it does need to be degassed, but I do have a degassing chamber, which is behind me here. It's a nice sure hardness of 40, and it works really, really quite well. So I've just got 2 tubs that are going to open for me. There we go. Come on. I've got 2 tubs. One's got about left. There it is. It's not open. Some gentle negotiation. Okay, so this one's about half full. Half full. Right. So what we're going to do is, first of all, I need to figure out how much silicone I need. So you remember earlier on in the process, to create the cavity, I used water-based clay. So the water-based clay created the matrix shape on top of the mold master. And that gave the shape that you can see in the outer jacket. The clay was then removed from the outer jacket, and I kept it. Here it is. This is my big block of clay. Guy-Manuel, Random Access Memories, and this block of clay correlates exactly with the amount of silicone that I need. So I have a block of clay, which is exactly as much silicone as I need to fill the cavity in the mold. So I need to figure out how much silicone that actually is. There's 2 ways to do it. You can use science and do all sorts of maths and numbers, or you can do what I do and use water displacement. So basically what I did is I covered this clay in cling film. I then fill a bucket of water right up to the brim. I then place that bucket to a bigger bucket, which was empty. I placed the block of clay in. The water came out. That water came out is exactly the same volume as the clay. I then measured that, and I put it into a bucket, and I've got my mark line here, as you can see. So to this line is exactly as much silicone as I need. Who needs science when you have buckets of water? So I'm now going to fill the bucket with silicone. Put this back. I'm going to fill this bucket with silicone. I am then going to degas it, and I'm then going to pour it. This silicone it's 2-part, of course, and it works by weight, and it's 100 parts of silicone to 10 parts of the catalyst. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up to my line with silicone, and then my 10% of catalyst is going to act as my sort of security blanket. I always like to pour a little bit too much silicone rather than too little. It just saves you that time having to go remix it, re-pour it, re-vacuum, degas it. So I always pour 10% too much. You are going to get a little bit of seepage coming out through the holes and through the base and the sides. So it's always good to have that 10% to play around with. There's only been once where I've undercalculated, had to pour again. Again, it's not the end of the world. If you have to mix up more silicone, it just adds 10-15 minutes onto your pour. Let's get this bucket scraped out. I would like to put some more release on my buckets. No particular reason, I just do. So I'm hoping I have got enough silicone in these two buckets and I don't have to open a fresh one. I do have a fresh one on standby, but it would be nice if I had enough here. I'm just wait and see. I'm not very good at visually gauging how much material is in a container. They're different sizes, they're different colors. It gets a bit confusing for me. So I'm just going to wait and see. That's it. There's a few little dregs in the corner, but we can live without it. What do you want to do? Don't kick that. Okay. My spatula here is just a piece of 3mm acrylic, and I've just kind of sanded the edges off. Great for scraping and for mixing. Always make sure that it's deeper, longer than your bucket, so don't get your handle messed up. And now for this one, I'm just going to pour it in. I don't think I'm going to have enough. Nope, don't think so. Okay, that's about the most of it. We can start scraping down the walls now. So it can take a bit of patience to work with, because it moves when it's ready. You can't really rush it over. Something has just committed suicide. You must look in. Don't want that on my mold. Thank you very much. Okay, so it's looking like I'm going to need another. Simply a half bucket. Quite a lot. Okay. So we've not got enough. I'm going to have to open up a third bucket. thankfully, I have one here. My hands are covered in muck. Trousers. Now, there's usually always something I forget to do. And I just remember what that is. So the catalyst needs to be mixed by weight. So I have not figured out how heavy my bucket is, and I have not figured out how much I've put in there. So I can kind of cheat here a little bit. These two, let me see, does it make sense? These two catalysts are from those two buckets which is in there. So I know that 100% of these are going to have to go in there to 10%. What I'm going to have to do now is measure how much of this new fresh silicone I put in, weigh that, and then I can put in 10% of that. So that's sort of vertical. Hopefully this scale will I'm only going to take another kilo or two. Right. I'll have to figure it out. Where is my stopper? There we go. I need a stronger one. So these new smooth-on buckets have these safety tabs that you have to cut out, as if the lids weren't difficult enough. Take off. Right. Tabs off. Let's see how much negotiation this one's going to take. There we go. The lid has deformed considerably. Right, so I'm just going to take a measurement now. So far we've got 2.7. That. And let's see. think my scale should do up to 5 kilo. And it's maybe around the 4 kilo mark. There we go. .3 kilos. And we got 1.6 kilos. All right, let's see what this looking. Okay, so we've got that. We've got 4.3 kilos silicone in the bucket. Scale it over here. Where's my stuff? This is not usually how I work. I have a lot of confined space here so that the camera can see what I'm doing. Usually I have a lot more space. But we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Here we go. Oh, and misses. So now what I need to do is I need to get my catalyst. So we're going to weigh this just to be safe. So let's see. Start off. So these two cups should be about 270 grams. Ooh, what was that? I should have given it a shake, shouldn't I? There's some settlement in the bottom.
Working hard best you can.
Just now, doing my web show, so don't say fuck or bugger.
Sorry?
I'm on the internet, so don't say fuck or bugger. So what this is, this should be about 270 grams. 280. Excellent. Which means I have been keeping to my quantities correctly. Not being over or under pouring. Now, And add a little bit more to bring it up to 430. And this should have a seal on it. Yes, it does. Oh, this ball's got a different pour on it. Hopefully it goes a little bit better. Wow, 430 exactly. Amazing. So we've got the silicone weighed out, we've got the catalyst weighed out, we are ready to pour. But not just yet. Hold on, get this here. Not just yet. Put these up here for a moment. Now, you just need to. Oh, I forgot my base, didn't I? Yep. So I had a baseboard that I had bottom of the mold master pin to, and I was hoping to reuse that so I wouldn't have to drill any new holes. But I'm not sure where I put it, so I'm gonna have to go look for that. Oh, I got it. Here we go. So this was used. This was used for the fiberglassy process. So it's a little bit cruddy. But basically, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to position that on top, and then that gives me an opportunity to sort of seal the base. We don't want silicone seeping out naturally, so I'm going to use a combination of this base and some plasticine. So I'll go grab some screws. Some screws. I'll get my drill here. Right. So we're going to attach this on, and my hand's clean. So this is all being waxed and prepped. I'm just going to give it a final inspection just to make sure there is no residue from the wax and caught up in any of the recesses. Use a Q-tip cotton bud to try and remove it if it is there. I inspected this earlier. Again, you also got to watch out for fresh one. Any contamination that might be on the surface, like dust particles, little specks, because the silicone will get up. So you want to make sure you get rid of them all. It's all looking pretty good. Okay. So I'm just going to try and reposition this where it was initially, and then screw it down in place. That's probably off. Okay, so it appears that a few people are tuned in. So yeah, thanks for watching. Where's my screws? Oh, I've lost them.
Night, Thor.
See you later, dude.
Good luck at the clinic.
That's funny. Build it in nice and square. So if you are watching live and you've got any questions, you can pop them on the Q&A app. I'll answer them. I'm part of the way through the process now, so you would have missed a little bit of information, but I'll try and recap on it. There we go. No, it does not want to go first time. I don't think I'm going to correct the camera. There we go. Success. 1 of 3. I'll make sure this doesn't fall off the edge of the table. All right. Okay, that's that. I've had a few people message in. Let me see what you're saying. So, oh no, got fiberglass shards in my hand. That's exactly what I don't want. Ow. So this base, I was using this for the fiberglassing as well, and instead of cleaning all the fiberglass shards off it, I just left it, which is probably a mistake. If I had more time, I would have taken it off, but it's a sacrificial piece. Rob has messaged in saying, hey, I just did that for the first time the other day, had to Google WTF, that cut slot, instructions meant. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Rob. I've been talking a lot of nonsense for a while, but hey, Google. No, I'm confused. Sorry, dude. And somebody else has messaged in some sort of foreign language. I don't understand, so sorry about that also. My bad. Yeah, sorry, I didn't understand what you were saying there, Rob. Slots and Google and WTF. Sounds like a typical conversation I would be having, though. Where am I? Right, okay. So let's give this a quick blast. What I got in here? No. So all good. Just going to give a quick blast of mold release. So this is ease release 200. This is typically what I use for everything. It has not failed me yet. Probably one of the most reliable products I have. in my collection. Rob's just messaged in. All right, I get it now, Rob. Yes. The first time they sent the new buckets to me as well, I was struggling for like probably half an hour trying to get it up before I noticed the cut here section on the bucket. It was a total pain in the ass. But yeah, no, it all makes sense, dude. It all makes sense. Sorry, I'm not with it today at all. I had a terrible night's sleep and everything has not gone to plan today. I probably shouldn't be attempting this. I don't want to make any major F-ups. I've made a checklist for myself, a mold checklist, and the whole idea, I messed up a mold once. It was only a small mold, but I made this checklist so that I could go through step by step everything that I would need to do, and I put in all the different elements I have for different molds. So it was just a generic checklist for any sort of mold making, whether it was like a 1-part or a 2-part or a box mold or a cavity pour. And I made the list and I thought, this is great, I'll never make a mistake again. And I haven't seen the list since. I put it on a hard drive somewhere and I never use it. So I should look that up and put it on my wall. So there we go. We are now covered in mold release. I should have opened the window. Okay, I'm just going to do the same. With the jackets. So, with any luck, this should just slot in nicely. Let's say it optimistically. With a bit of luck, there we go. I think it's just a rough texture on the base that's caught in. So that is one section in place, the back section in place. So let's go for the second section. Let's go for section number 2. Here we go. And again, nice and gently. And that's all looking pretty decent. So I've got a bucket, a little tub full of bolts and wing nuts. So I'm just going to start securing a couple of these in place. Not going to tighten it up just yet. Wait until we're all done. And time for the last section. Okay, coming. Now, fits like a glove. Oh, it goes together nicely. It's like it was meant to be. And I've still got that piece of glass in my fingertip. Can't see it, I can feel it. And now I'm just going to start tightening all these up. So the join between the different plates is usually quite good. Occasionally there's a little bit of seepage, a little bit of flash, but nothing major. The silicone tends to bond together quite well. But what I'm going to do anyway is I am going to seal all the edges. So along here and along the bottom towards the base, I'm going to seal them all just with a strip of clay of non-sulfur plasticine, which is really cheap and disposable. It's like less than £1 a block. And I should have some down here. Yep, there we go. New class, non-toxic, non-sulfur, made in the UK. Half a kilo for like 90 or something like that. It's crazy. So I'm going to start with the base to get that all sealed up. And basically, I'm just going to ram it into the corners. Where the jacket meets the base, and then again where the jacket meets the jacket. Any areas where there's a possibility of seepage of the silicone. Like there, there's a bit of a gap there. Oh, it's there. Okay, and now we'll do these strips as well. Probably a bit of overkill, but it's good to have it. As soon as I pour this, I'm going to leave for the weekend. So better be safe than sorry. Just seal up all the potential leak points. And hopefully that way, when I come back on Sunday night or Monday morning, I'll have a perfectly formed mold. So the silicone has got a 24-hour cure time. Gives it plenty of time for any trapped air bubbles to find their way away from the piece to the surface. And once you plan things out, having a 24-hour cure time is not that much of an inconvenience. When I first started off, I was always buying like, what's it called? Oh, the platinum-based one from Smooth On, cures in 15 minutes, sort of thing. For all the kids, only about 30 bucks. I was forever using that, but it wasn't always the best medium for the job. So I started spending a lot more time investigating what different silicones did, what they were best used for, cure times, shore hardness, stuff like that. And of course, there's numerous other prop artists who've experimented with materials, and all of them have used materials and found that it's not suitable, which is good, because it's good when they share that information, because it saves me from experimenting and wasting my money. But so far, I have not had a single problem with this. What's this one? This one's called Mold Max. Yeah, it was Mold Star was the platinum kits that I used to get. Mold Star 16, I believe, was the fastest one. I still got some in my cupboard. It comes in handy if you want to do something super quick, something unexpected. But generally, I plan my molds out weeks in advance. The last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to give it a pour spout. So I'm just going to use a bit of cardboard tubing, which works really quite well. So with a bit of luck, oh, it does fit in. I might put on my hot glue gun. And just seal that with a bit of hot glue. Look at my tiny little hot glue gun. Isn't that awesome? I picked this up for a couple of bucks in the supermarket when I was buying my groceries. It's really, really handy for small jobs. It takes these tiny glue sticks, but it uses them so fast. It goes through one like crazy fast. But it's got two settings as well. It's got a high and a low. I'll just turn it on high now so it heats up quickly. There's quite a bit of gap there. We're almost to the exciting bit. Okay, we're sealed. Let's see this hot glue gun. We're ready to go yet. Not just yet. There we go. Just don't really want. So this reservoir here, this is my pour spout, but it also acts as a reservoir, so it keeps a large volume, well not a large, but a volume of silicone above the mold. So when air bubbles and trapped air is displaced, you've got silicone on hand to replace it. Those air bubbles could be quite tiny, or it could be a huge big chunk. So you want to make sure that you've got some silicone there that can instantly be replaced. This is why you create a reservoir. I've seen some people who have gone all out and they've actually got they've got like a special bucket for their silicone. So they've got a bucket attached to a pipe, which has got like a plumbing fitting, and then that fits onto the hole there, which is really quite ingenious. You don't have to stand there watching. What? Busy. What do you want? You get more Chinese?
No, it's just back. There's stuff if you want something.
Oh, I can't really help it now, can I? No. Enjoy. I'll be up in a bit. So yeah, attaching a bucket so you have all your silicone in one place, so you don't have to stand there like an idiot pouring it out. If I had more time, I probably would have done something like that, but I didn't. So on to next, we're going to start mixing the silicone. I'm just going to quickly check that I've done everything. So got the master, it is waxed and prepped, ready to go. We've got the jacket attached to it. The jacket has been sealed. Got my bleeder holes for the air to escape. Sealed up the edges with my clay. Just in case. Big old sports bag, silicone is all ready to go. So, okay, I think we are ready for it. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to mix this up. This has got a pot life of like, I don't know, a couple of hours, 24-hour cure time, so there's got plenty of time to prepare and work with it. It's a really nice product to work with. What we're going to do is pop it in the degassing chamber, which I have here. This is my homemade degassing chamber. What we've done is we've cut the top of the gas canister. Of course, we emptied it first. Cut the top of the gas canister. We plumbed it up, so we attached it to a vacuum pump. I've then got this super thick, I think it's like 30 or 40 mil thick acrylic. That pops on top, and your vacuum pump sucks all the air out, and that in turn sucks all the air out of your silicone. One problem that I have noticed is that when you're sucking the air out of silicone, the silicone tends to rise, tends to grow, muffins up. So generally you have to do it in quite a big bucket. Fortunately, my bucket isn't very big, so what I have to do is do it in a number of passes so that it doesn't pour out. A little bit of an inconvenience, but not the end of the world. So I'm just going to check and plug in my vacuum pump. And it works. So yeah, ready to pour. So each silicone generally has a different color, which indicates its shore hardness, which makes it great for identifying. This one's got a shore hardness of 40, and it works really, really quite well for this particular type of molding. You just need to be quite careful. I don't want to splodge this everywhere. So you want to spend a good amount of time making sure that you've worked the catalyst into the entire batch of silicon. You'll see it start to marble. So again, it's just about having a bit of patience and kind of kneading it in. So I might actually pour some of this out into another bucket so that I can degas it in one go, well, 2 goes, but it might just save me some time. So you can probably see now why I've got such a big paddle to work with, because you got almost 5 kilos. Quite a heavy, thick, flubbery substance that you need to mix thoroughly. Using a popsicle stick is not going to work very well. It's always good to scrape the sides and the bottom of the bucket just to make sure you mix it all thoroughly. Just doesn't hurt my hand. Almost there. Just going to scrape these sides down. You still see some white unmixed silicone, and that's what you want to avoid. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So, like I said, we need to degas this. When you're degassing it, it removes all the air from the silicon. The silicon tends to grow as that air is escaping because it's quite a thick substance. It grows and it mushrooms. This bucket is almost full of silicon, so we don't have much room for degassing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decant some of this into another bucket. And then I'm going to work from 2 buckets. So, got one of these silicon buckets, one of these Silicone buckets. I'm just going to pour some. Pour some over. And now both buckets have more room for the silicon to expand and do its thing. Now that I've removed this, I'm just going to give it one last stir. Now it's easier to see the bottom. Make sure that it's all thoroughly mixed. And it is looking damn good. How have I got my camera set up? So, I'm going to pop this in. I'm going to clean my hands up a little bit. I'm going to pop this in. I'm going to pop the lid on the gassing chamber. I'm going to flip the switch. and flip the switch, and then it's going to take a couple of minutes to decompress the chamber, take all the air, extract all the air out, suck it out of the silicone. So it's going to be a little bit noisy, a little bit boring. I might see if I can move my camera over. So you can see. Seal. There we go. So that's working away. I might just see if I can pop my camera and have a look and see what's going on. Hooray! So this is, let me just see if I can see something. That's what the gas is set up. It's just a old gas bubble that has the top cut off it. We use a very thick sheet of acrylic to see the top. We've then got a vacuum pump, and down here I've got a little gauge that shows you how much the vacuum can achieve. And what you'll see in a minute, I don't know if you can see that, almost, the silicon will start to muffin up as the air is extracted from it. And this is why you need an oversized bucket, because it will expand to twice, if not 3 times, its volume. So yeah, you can see, I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera. I can see it. Hopefully you guys can see it too. So let's pop the camera back here. How's that set up? That's good. Right. Keep an eye on that. It's no more. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to position the helmet down slightly lower, just so I can pour in. There we go. So it's going to suck the air. It's going to keep muffining up and up and up. And at a certain point, it will have extracted so much air, it'll reach all vacuum, quite close. And what will happen is the silicon will not be able to support itself because all the air will be gone, and it will just collapse down. And that's how you know when you're ready. Unfortunately, I don't think I've taken enough out of this bucket, so what I have to do is simulate that, release the pressure, and then restart it again. It's getting very close to the edge now. So that's it, right at the top. So I'm just going to equalize the pressure and then start again. Vacuum pump doesn't sound very healthy right now. Hopefully it doesn't die. Quite fond of it. It's a really useful piece of equipment. And let me get this to start. So this is not ideal, having to do it in 2 pours, but it's not the end of the world. Like I said, the silicon has got a cure time of 24 hours, pot life of an hour or more. So you have plenty of time to play around. So it should not muffin up as much. don't know if that's actually an expression, is it? Muffin up. Kind of like what happens in the oven. They start off really small and they grow and they turn into like a mushroom shaped muffin type affair. Yeah, I'm just yammering on, aren't I? Looks like I'm doing it again. Nope. There we go. It's just about to collapse. All the air has been extracted and it'll just start folding in itself. Okay, that'll do. Just about. Yeah. So this is about 2/3 of the pour. So I'm just going to get this. I'm going to try and get a nice steady stream, nice and slowly. This is where it'd be handy to have that bucket plumbed up, but I wasn't thinking ahead. All right, dude.
Hey, you're not on your
I am.
All right, I'll leave you set.
So the silicone will work its way from the highest point down to the lowest point, and it will take its sweet ass time doing so. And as it starts to fill from the bottom, the air will be pushed away, hopefully away from the surface of the mold master and out towards the bleeder holes, up towards the top. Generally, once all the silicone has been poured, you want to let the silicone run out of the bleeder holes. I generally let it stream for like, 50, 60 mil, let it just run out, and then start sealing them up from the bottom to the top. But giving it plenty of time, the whole pour process takes about 15 minutes to half an hour. So we've got the majority in there, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to give that a minute, and I'm going to pop the remainder of the silicone in for degassing. So quite a few are watching, brilliant. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask with the Q&A app. I'll do my best to answer them. Unsealed, locked up. Not that purple seal. Here, oh, better. Much better. So, we've got about 2/3 to 3/4 silicone. I'm just going to scrape the residue off this bucket and see about getting the rest. There we go. That's about 99% of it done. And this one is chipping away. What time am I on? What time did I start this at? Oh, over an hour. Oh, I thought I'd get it to be quicker. So we're going to pop this back up now so you can get a better look at it. Oh, it's getting heavy. So you can see now that we're starting to get some silicone bleeding through the bleeder holes, which is precisely what I want to see. I'm just going to let them go. Let them bleed away so I know the air is coming out. So once all this is poured in, I'm hoping that the vast majority of this reservoir will be full. And again, having that reservoir there is really, really handy for when you do get some leak. You're going to have some silicone seeping out through the bleeder holes, maybe around the base, but it's always good to have it there, and it keeps a constant pressure, forcing air to go out through the bleeder holes or work away from the surface of the mold master. So it's always good to have extra forward. It does mean spending a little bit more money, but in the long run, it works out better. Back when I first started, I made quite a few molds by underestimating how much silicone I would need. I ended up having to scrap the whole piece because I was using the quick set stuff, because I was using the platinum cure from Mold Star 16. I'd make the mold and I wouldn't have enough time to mix up some more. So I'd end up losing that batch, all because I was trying to save a few pennies. And that's collapsed. So pressure has been equalized. And I have just noticed that oil is leaking from my vacuum pump. Which is not a good sign. Don't want that. So let's pour the remainder of this in. I should have kept it down low because we can't see in. There we go. Okay, I'm just gonna cut that off there. I'm gonna start filling some of these bleeder holes at the bottom. The ones that have been start from the bottom, work your way up to the top. So I don't know what sort of screws these are. They're flat heads, they're really short, but they work really well with 3mm hole. You insert them and generally give them a quarter twist, and that's that hole locked up. I've seen people use chunks of clay, but when I tried that, I found it rather messy and difficult. The clay was mixed up with silicone, it would get all sludgy, and it just didn't work well for me. So I saw this technique being used by some people, and I borrowed it. I'm pretty sure some of the guys at the Stan Winston team that come up with it, they've pretty much come up with everything, haven't they? Oh, one's falling out over there. Man down. Hey, dude.
Voila.
Someone's got ice cream. I actually finished it about 10, 15 minutes, I think. They've got ice cream. So some of these aren't bleeding as well as I would like, so I'm going to give them a few more minutes. Like I said, you want to make sure that you've got like a good sort of finger length silicone popping out before we start popping them up. Looking here, I don't have as much silicone in that reservoir as I would have liked, but hopefully I won't have to pour any more up. Oh, who's messaging me? Okay, that's about 75% of the bleeder holes bunged up. There's a couple, one or two that are midway that haven't bled out as much as I'd like, so I'm just going to add the remainder of this silicone. There's quite a bit in here. And that's it. Pretty much done. So let's give that a couple more minutes. Let's see about bunging up the last of these bleeder holes. I might just pop something through one. I think there may be a blockage in one of them. Okay, oh, this one is having a good time, so let's block him up. You're good to go. So generally, you pour from the highest spot in the mold. So at the moment, there's about that much silicone left in there. So we've got quite a considerable amount to play around with. If, for instance, I didn't fully block up one of these holes and there was a gradual leakage, I would hope that I got enough in the reservoir to mean that I wouldn't have any sort of low level of silicon. You don't really want it to go below here, if that makes sense. I'm quite tired today. I haven't been making sense all day. Okay, that would needs fill up. But tomorrow, I get to go to Edinburgh Comic Con. And I am very much looking forward to it. Spending the whole weekend in Edinburgh. I get to meet a lot of my cosplay buddies. Hopefully get to cosplay a little bit too. I'll be out there with Alistair Watson Photography, who is doing his photo booth. Yeah, and we'll just be generally having a good time, relaxing. We're also, tomorrow night, we are having a party for CosCon. CosCon, if you don't know, is my new venture here in Scotland. It is a cosplay convention that I'm organizing this year and next year. In the run up to it, the main convention, what we're doing is we're hosting a whole series of cosplay focused events here in Scotland to build up the brand, build up the awareness, to get people involved. And we're hoping that we're going to have a couple of events here and there, a couple of larger events, and then early next year we're going to have the main convention event, which will be like a regular convention but all about cosplay, and we're very, very excited about that. So yeah, tomorrow in Edinburgh will be a day of promoting that, and then we're going to have a wee party because cosplayers love a party. So I'm just going to scrape up some of this silicone before it hits the base, because the base is all cruddy with shards of fiberglass. So you don't have to worry about this. It looks a bit shitty at the moment, but silicone only sticks to silicone. So as soon as it's cured, all these little silicone trails can just be peeled off. So if we tidy these up somewhat, you can see if your bunghole screws are actually being effective and have stopped the flow of silicone out. One would hope that they are. Let me see. My buddy Chris is sending me messages through Facebook. Let's see what he's saying. Oh, why is the internet being so slow? So, Chris. Oh, Chris is asking, will there be a CosCon event in Aberdeen in Scotland at some point? Because that's where he is based. I don't know, honestly, Chris. Possibly. There is going to be a Comic-Con in Aberdeen, May. Yeah, I think it's like the 31st of May. So it's obvious that there is demand for that sort of thing. I know at Aberdeen Comic-Con, they're having a cosplay competition, which I'm rather excited about, because a certain prop artist, who shall remain nameless, has been invited to be the cosplay judge for the competition, which is very exciting. So I've not officially announced that, but I believe Granite City Comic Con have announced it officially that I will be there. So we'll see. Once I'm up that way, I will have a look at the lay of the land, see what sort of cosplay activities are going on, how many cosplay enthusiasts there are, and if we deem it viable, we may consider doing one in Aberdeen. So Aberdeen, you've got to be on your A game. You're going to get out and cosplay and impress me. And we might do an event up there at some point. So I think we've got most of the bidders full up. A couple of them left to go. Yeah, we got about that much. So having that block of silicone there is going to keep a little bit of pressure pushing down on top of the silicone. So if there is any air, it will want to move up, and the silicone will want to move down. So having that little bit of weight there is going to help that, encourage that to happen at a quicker rate. So it actually worked out quite well. Got about that much extra silicone. Would have expected a little bit more, but it's all good. We haven't had that much wastage. Doesn't seem to be any. Oh, we've got a little bit of seepage coming from here. A little bit of seepage over there, but nothing we can't sort out. So yeah, all in all, it has been a very, very successful molding session. Well, I won't actually know that until demolded. So yeah, here's the last of meters done there. Of course, the last one wants to be a pain in my ass. Okay. I am quite happy with what we've achieved today. So there's a couple of little Couple of little bleed points down here that I'm just going to bung up with some clay. Hopefully that'll stop. And what I'll do now is I'll sign off, and I've got a couple of bits and pieces to do upstairs. So I'll do that, and I'll come back down and just make sure that it's all good before I leave it for the night. Typically, I would put this in my spray booth. My spray booth I keep about 21 to 23 degrees, which is really great for keeping products. So not quite cozy room temperature. I was going to move it through there, but as I'm going to be away for the entire weekend, it's going to have 48, 72 hours to cure, so won't need to have it in there. I think I'll be good. You away, sir?
Yeah.
Have a good weekend. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, you might see me tomorrow.
You won't see me tomorrow.
Oh, fair dues.
Take it easy. So yeah, I suspect the spray booth is going to be used over the weekend. It's become a busy place here at the weekends. So I'm just going to leave him right where he is, and over 2 hours he'll have plenty of time for that silicone to cure. Is that leaking? It's actually leaking through the bolt and wing nut hole, which is quite cool. So yeah, ta-da! That is it. Successful, I do believe. Fingers crossed when I come back on Monday or Tuesday, and I crack this bad boy open, we'll have a nice, perfectly formed mold. That is the goal. So yeah, I will more than likely do another web show, potentially Monday, but if not Monday, definitely Tuesday. No questions, definitely Tuesday. And during that show, what I will do is I will pop this guy open. I will show you how we create the release seam on it, and I might even do a rotational casting, which I'm sure you'll all enjoy. So for those folks who tuned in, thanks very much for joining me, keeping me company. Only one more video to do, and then what I'll do is I'll hop on YouTube and I'll write up some notes on all the videos, and I'll compile them into a playlist, and then we should have a nice sort of a comprehensive piece of molding information, even though there will be a lot of me just working away in silence. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you next time. Enjoy your weekend. If you're going to be at Edinburgh Comic Con, I'll see you there. So cheers, bye-bye.